The men working here have wings on the brain. Their thoughts surge through the sky because they refurbish historic airplanes. These are warplanes from the U.S. Armed Forces. This is a workshop of the Military Aircraft Preservation Society, MAPS, in Greene in Summit County, Ohio. Inside and outside, wingtip to wingtip, are vintage military aircraft to which every person working here brings a passion.
We take airplanes that somebody else would call junk and make them look like the airplanes that flew during their time era.
Just look in there and see if anything's loose.
The MAPS Museum on the grounds of a former Ohio Air National Guard installation sits in the shadow of the Akron Canton Airport. Tied to these retired U.S. military aircraft are the men, most of whom are military veterans themselves. Some worked in aviation. All have wings on the brain. Ray Weber, retired Air National Guard, has found joy in restoring aircraft for the MAPS Museum. He no longer pilots, but remembers its lure. This plane, especially, is part of his memory bank.
November 29th, 1969, my first flight in this 524 F-84F over at Mansfield.
The work here with donated aircraft calls for a heavy hand, most of it from volunteers. Each has respect for history and tribute for those who built, flew, and maintained these planes. The Display Museum is here. The refurbished aircraft help tell stories of American military aviation. These aircraft either went to war or kept the peace.
Do people ever come here and look at all these displays with tears in their eyes?
It happens every day. It makes the hair on my arms stand up.
But mostly the history comes from people who were where history was made. These MAP Museum volunteers recall their service years. Thoughts return to duty in uniform. Times years ago for this band of brothers whose memories are easily retrievable.
I used to do this for a living.
For Ken Ramsey, memory flows like jet fuel in a firing engine. For years he worked restoring this fighter. The plane mirrors one he once knew and flew. During the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis, when the U.S. and Soviet Union eyeballed each other, a hair's breadth from war, Ramsey was locked and loaded. In his jet on the runway, he awaited the order to bomb Soviet targets in Cuba, had an order come. Decades later, in the cockpit of another F-100, memories are strong.
This is comfortable for you to be in the cockpit.
Yes. I'd go fly one now. Give me about 4 hours to look at the things and get the procedures, and I'd go fly one.
Story of military and museum and men. The mission is to get veteran U.S. military aircraft back on their wings, not for the skies, but for the eyes. The planes are retired, now pulling museum duty. Still, they tell stories of what they did when they were battle-tested. At the MAPS Air Museum in Greene, Ohio, so too are the men, this band of brothers, all with wings on the brain.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.